There is a statement that is very common among Nigerians. We don't look like what we are going through. They say it a lot of time. They even say it in churches. Pastors always say it. But the question you should have asked yourself is, if I'm here in church, I am not attacking any church, or I'm not attacking religion, please. But you ask yourself, if I am in church because they told me God will give me a wonderful life, why do I have to be in church and still say we don't look like what we are going through? Does that mean that the only thing the church does for you is to package your suffering? Because you self think we don't look like what we are going through, but we are in church because God has promised us through what our pastors say a very wonderful life. But why will you have to say we don't look like what you are going through? That means you're going through something. And you are in church. To stay in church and say that, it means that, bro, the church does not do anything about all of those things it says it does. But we don't look like what we are going through is a statement of trauma. It's a statement of trauma that is a definition of what you are going through, what Fela called suffering and smiling. And that forms the crux of how Nigerians behave in very pretentious manner. The fact that you're calling yourself the giant of Africa is one of it. Which giant? Who made you giant? Giant of which Africa? Do you know your place? Do you know the place of Nigeria in the Committee of Nations of Africa? Development Index, whatever thing that has to do with development, Nigeria is not in the top 20. Whatever thing that has to do with livelihood, Nigeria is not in the top 20 in Africa. And I am not making it up. You have your phones, you can just check. And then those kind of people are the ones that call themselves giants of Africa. If you are just doing that to intimidate people, everything Nigeria knows how to do is to intimidate. The person who doesn't have strength is the one that intimidates the most. If you went to Lagos, these Alaye boys, you see them always. They are always ready to punch. They are always ready to throw punches. You would think they if you would think if they gave them space, they will bring down everybody. But just one small punch from a very lanky looking person, that's the end. The person who brags, who want to put it out the most, is the person that doesn't have it. And when you look at the social media space in Nigeria, you would see it play. We always want to put out things that we do not actually have because we don't want to look like what we are going through, suffering and smiling. But I recently saw a post on Twitter from one guy who said he has been to a lot of countries in sub-Sahara Africa, and that Nigeria is one of those countries in sub-Sahara Africa, apart from South Africa. He said apart from South Africa, Nigeria is the country in sub-Sahara Africa that is very developed, that has very wonderful infrastructures. But we know our road network in Nigeria make we no carry our dirty linen go outside. But let's talk about the other infrastructures, like you know that Nigeria has very tall buildings, skyscrapers, beautiful buildings, Asokoro, Banana Island, VGC, very wonderful buildings. And when we want to make movies, we go and rent those wonderful buildings and make those movies. And when other African countries see the movies, they start thinking Nigeria is the best thing since uh, sliced bread. One thing again that I have noticed about Nigeria is that most of the people that are spending their days every day speaking against the injustice in Nigeria, every day you see them online talking about fixing Nigeria. Most of those people are people who have traveled out of Nigeria before, people who have seen life outside Nigeria. And when I talk about travel out of Nigeria, it doesn't have to be Europe, it doesn't have to be America, it doesn't have to be Asia, neither does it have to be Oceania or Australia. Just travel around Sub Sahara, just travel around the neighboring countries of Nigeria. You understand why the people who are speaking for the system to be fixed are loudly saying so. Because they've seen that in Nigeria there is no life. It is just even the survival that we have in Nigeria is the worst form of survival. We can talk about survival, the way what survival means to a black American, what survival means to a Cameroonian or a South African or even a Nigerian is different from what survival means to a Nigerian. Bro, to an average Nigerian, survival means a square meal. A square meal. It is that bad. When you cannot eat, you are not alive. So I would advise, this is April. You still have some months. I'll advise you to travel out of Nigeria. Neighboring countries, there is Cameroon. You can trek to Cameroon from places like Etum, I think Ikom, Etum. You can trek to Cameroon. You can also trek to Benin Republic from Lagos, from the end parts of Lagos, some parts of Ogun State. You just cross over. But officially, you do not need a visa. Just get a passport, get it stamped. The money you spend in the village during Christmas is more than enough to take you out of Nigeria to these neighboring countries. And you have a very wonderful experience. Experience how life happens in those countries. When we talk about consciousness or wokeness, a lot of people just think it's about being intellectually sound, having knowledge of books, reading, being intellectually up there. That's not necessarily what we mean. We just mean being aware, being aware of yourself, being aware of your environment. Nigerians are not conscious of their environment. And one of the reasons for that is because Nigerians do not travel. They say traveling is a part of education. Nigerians do not travel. If Nigerians traveled just to these neighboring countries, a lot of things will change because you come back with that eagerness to fix your country. You go and realize that Nigeria is not the giant of Africa it is claiming to be. Nigeria is not. So this Christmas, this December, don't go to the village. Spend less of that amount of money and travel to Cameroon, travel to Niger, travel to Chad, travel to Benin Republic. At least, if not for anything, make it follow there on record say you sef don't travel out of Nigeria. You might not expect to meet skyscrapers, beautiful skyscrapers, because those people do not live in pretension. Those people do not live pretentious lives. Most of the skyscrapers, the beautiful houses that you're seeing in Nigeria, those are houses that are built from shady money, from stolen funds. They oppress you. It is the economic oppression that they unleash on you that helps them to build those houses. Those are not the things you are supposed to be celebrating. But those other countries will not have those kind of houses because their politicians or their businessmen, their capitalist system is not built on the level of exploitation that Nigeria's capitalist system is built on. The exploitation in the Nigerian capitalist system is enough to get the capitalists to build those kind of skyscrapers. I am saying that in Cameroon, what you bought for 10,000 CFA 10 years ago is still sold for 10,000 CFA today. If the increment is too much, 10,005, 11,000 CFA. In Nigeria, what you bought for 10,000 naira 10 years ago, you'll be buying it for about 80,000 naira today. And it's not as if I'm joking. All of us are in the market. So the economic exploitation in Nigeria is far, far different from what it is in other countries. And it is the profit from that level of exploitation that the exploiters use to build those skyscrapers. And then you, who is paying for that skyscraper, will turn around to use that skyscraper as an evidence to the development of your country. It's sick. It is within this purview that we are saying that Nigerians are not conscious. Landlord, travel and see. Don't remain a landlord in Nigeria. You don't know anything apart from Nigeria. Just travel. You have the money to travel. It's just that you are not conscious enough to know that you have the money to travel. If you can pay 70,000 naira from Lagos to Onitsha, you can pay 60,000 naira from Nigeria to Cameroon. So it's even cheaper. And then when you get to your village, you want to spend, buy this, buy that, buy this. No, that is the money you use to pay hotel bills. And their food is very cheap, and you eat and get tired. Just look around, see how people live their lives, and then you come back and know that you have the duty to fix Nigeria if you actually are interested in fixing Nigeria anyways. Because a lot of times we are just not happy that we are not the ones that are doing the oppression. You see, cosmetics, liposuction, BBL, Brazilian boot lift, Caro White, makeups. You know what makeup means? To make you up so that you will not look like what you are going through. All those things. Do you think those other countries in Africa, sub-Sahara, do not know how to get all those things? But they don't need them because they are not interested in the business of not looking like what they are going through. If you saw any person from other parts of Africa, they look like what they are going through. And if you get close to their skins, you will see that their skins are fresh. Not be like us, we be like stockfish. And then we'll have to bleach our skins, we have to rub all sorts of things on our bodies to pretend that we are looking nice, to pretend that something is going on. That's us. That's coping mechanism. It's trauma response. We are not okay. And we focus on those things and we make ourselves feel good about ourselves. And it will stop us from demanding that the system is fixed. And then you now want to feel good that other countries are looking up to you. Looking up to you over what? You have nothing. Looking up to liposuction. Looking up to, modifying your body to look good. You think it's Somebody would get 3 million naira, they won't go do nyash. That's not life. I'm not saying don't do, if that's what gives you fulfillment. I should not come and be the stumbling block. But is that life? Somebody would fly for the first time. You just take a photo and post, update your status. First flight. Or some go even dey inside economy, get as they go take stay, they go stay the day for private. All those kind of nonsense. You think other countries do not have airports, their citizens don't take flight, but you rarely see them post those things because that's not their concern. They are not getting distracted. And that's why, even though generally in Africa there is a problem, but those other countries' problems are bearable. Nigeria's problems are unbearable. You see a Nigerian, like I am doing a photo, I am doing this video in my house. You see a Nigerian, if they want to do videos, they pay to rent nice locations. You want to take birthday photos, you pay to rent studios just to take birthday photos. If I told you how much a Nigerian spends on birthday photos, they will edit, you put contrast, you put filters, you put just to so that you will not look like what you are going through. I've had friends visit me from outside of Nigeria, not from Europe, from Africa. And whenever they comes in, it's disappointment. They'll be like, where did Nigeria, where we dey see for Nollywood? Is this the Nigeria? I've told the story of a friend who came visiting me in Nigeria and left 2 days. That person wanted to leave the next day. From where? Cameroon. The Cameroon that, if you see how Nigeria wants to call Cameroon nonsense country, but when they come to Nigeria, they are not able to stay. Is it noise pollution? Is it the fraud that everybody just want to take anything from anybody? You will see people that are selling tomato, they will take the spoiled one and put under and take one very beautiful one and put on top. Everybody is doing everything possible to steal from everybody. And that's what you call giants of Africa. Photoshops just to look good. You see a lot of Nigerians. You see, most of the people that post photos with cars online, they don't have cars. They don't have it. But we don't want to look like what we are going through. You see, Nigeria is stricken with hunger. If you know the kind of hunger that is in Nigeria, you will not even be able to open your mouth. So the things that other countries in sub-Saharan Africa are complaining about are different from the things that Nigerians are complaining about. For example, someone from Mali, for example, might be complaining about the lack of dessert. Dessert is after meal. Their problem is not 3 square meal. They eat 3 square meal to satisfaction. But you for Nigeria, your own problem will be 1 square meal that is not even healthy. Indomie and egg. For Nigerians, if they saw Indomie and egg, it is elitist. Gari has become food for the rich. When we were growing, we bought gari for 1 naira, a cup of gari 1 naira, and I am not lying to you. And it's not as if I'm 70 years old. I'm a very young person. But when I was a child, they used to send us to buy gari, 1 cup 1 naira, and they would put jara on top. Then if you dey even hide to go buy garri so that people your mates will not laugh at you that you're buying garri because garri was seen as the food for the very poor people. But today, garri is like cocaine, it's like crack. It's very expensive commodity. I saw one guy the other day, he was carrying half basin of garri. He was so protecting it and he kept it where he was waiting for a bus, and the bus nearly touched the bag of garri with the tire. If you saw the shout he shouted. Another woman by the side said, "Oh boy, protect this thing oh, this thing no be poor man food oh, no." Garri that we used to hide to buy so that they will not laugh at us. So the country gets worse every day. Then what we sell out to the other parts of Africa is music, Afrobeats, and we claim we are doing well. But you don't know that Nigerian music is a product of the suffering in Nigeria. Go and listen to the lyrics now. It's empty. It's just a means by which people survive. You want to sing so that you sing yourself out of poverty. How many wealthy people go into music in Nigeria? Mention them. If you remove Davido, you can't mention Asha. Asha doesn't stay in Nigeria. Even the Davido wasn't even born in Nigeria. How many Nigerian born musicians were wealthy before they went into music? 99% of them, it is music that took them out of poverty. So the music is a product of poverty. And when you sing out of poverty, it becomes very, very sweet to the ears. It doesn't have content, no lyrical content, no message, just beats, sweetness. It is that sweetness of the music, the beat, that attracts other countries of Africa. So they want to buy your music. It's not like the music has anything. When they want to have fun, when they want to club, they listen to your music and you think you're doing well. No, you are you're selling out your trauma. Your trauma is an entertainment to your sister countries. Another thing we have so much is religion. Big pastors. Again, is a product of poverty because mention just one pastor, one alone, one that was so comfortable, so rich, and then decided to go into ministry. Just mention one. Then I'll call it a day. But all of them were poor. All of them were in abject poverty most of the time. And then religion was a way out. That's why the whole thing about their gospel is prosperity, tithe. They are afraid of going back to poverty. So they take monies from you. And why is it that the rest of Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, is not buying your religion, your preaching, as much as they are buying your music? Think about it. Be conscious enough to ask these questions. The answer is simple. They do not need those God will do this for you. God will do that. God, they are already getting those things that the pastors would have gone to their countries to tell them God will give to them. The reason you are not knowing this thing is because you are not traveling. Is it in Cameroon that you want to go and talk about food or housing? They will not have skyscrapers, but they have where to sleep. You cannot go to some of these countries and you see beggars on the street. Have you gone to their social media spaces and you see their artists doing giveaway? or you see people prompting celebrities to do giveaways. You think they don't have celebrities that have money. But the people are not as impoverished as Nigerians are. They are not hungry. They eat. They sleep with electricity. They wake up with electricity. So what is the pastor going there to preach to them? The pastors will only always find their way to UK because they are going to meet the colonial masters that have given them religion as a weapon against Nigeria. You don't know that religion is a weapon. The people in Europe, the Europeans, do they practice religion the way we practice religion in Nigeria? How many times have you heard a white man speak in tongues? How many times have you heard a white man asking for the miracle of visa, for the miracle of admission into a university, for the miracle of what to eat? How many times have you heard a white man binding and casting ancestral curses or ancestral witches and wizards? So the religion that they give to you is practiced for different purpose from what they are practicing it. So they need your pastors to go to Europe, to UK, and visit some of you who are still there. Because trauma, geographical location does not erase trauma. When you carry that your African trauma, you travel with it. And so you attract pastor. The pastor used to be in Nigeria, is in Nigeria where you left. So you want to attract the pastor. Sometimes you think it is the pastor that is making you to not be able to save money in UK. The UK system is not designed for you to save money. It's designed to take the money back from you immediately. We need to think. We need to think. We need to be conscious of the Nigerian environment. That is only when we can start thinking of holding the leaders responsible, holding them accountable. And like I always say, the revolution doesn't have to be televised. You don't have to, shout, we no go gree, carry placards. No. If you are interested in voting, let the revolution be your vote. So the televising of the election will be an election, and if they don't want your vote to count, you say to hell with you. It is absolutely impossible. You hold them down to count your votes. What will be televised is an election. So it is the idea behind that vote that becomes the revolution. I don't know if you get it. Rally around your candidate. It doesn't matter. I am not asking you to vote Peter Obi, Kwakwanso, or Atiku or Tinubu. Even if it's Tinubu you want to vote, feel free to vote Tinubu. But make sure that vote for Tinubu counts. And as you're making sure your vote for Tinubu counts, be sure to also allow the other person who voted for a different candidate to let their vote count. And if they don't want to let your own vote count, be sure to follow them to the letter. That is the idea. Revolution is an idea. It's not physical fight. I don't believe it. You cannot outfight people who have the military at their beck and call.